Hey, welcome to Dan's Model Works, and this is part 2 of our ship watching on the Welland Canal. And as I mentioned in part 1, I filmed most of this in the second last week of October, and as well, the same technical note applies. It was a really windy day, so I'm going to be muting out a lot of the video. So some of the time you're going to hear me talking as I'm filming, and a lot of the time you're going to hear me doing voiceovers, because otherwise the wind noise would just drive you crazy. We're at the visitor center at Loch 3 on the Welland Canal, and I'll have to admit that this particular ship kind of snuck up on me. I had gone back down to my van after the last ship, and I thought I had maybe about an hour before the next ship arrived. And I figured, you know what, I'm just going to catch just a little cat nap in the car. And lo and behold, after about 15 minutes, I looked up and, whoa, here's this ship coming in. The Almosborg is a Dutch-owned ship and is part of the Royal Wagenborg fleet. This ship was built by the Hudong Zhonghua Shipbuilding Group in China in 2011. The lower lock gates are now closing, and the yellow crane is putting the safety cable in place. Note how much more space there is in the lock with this ship, since it's much shorter than the Laker boats that we saw in part 1. The Almosborg is now undergoing its lift in lock number 3. I've sped up this portion of the video by 8 times, so the lift actually took about 8.5 minutes. Compare the cranes to the horizon, and you will see just how much elevation the ship gains each time it goes through a lock. You may have noticed that the cargo cranes are mounted on the port side of the ship. This is a highly advantageous arrangement, as it allows them to put very large, bulky cargoes directly on top of the hatch covers, otherwise known as the weather deck. This ship is also equipped with a tween deck. It has a floor which can be put in place under the weather deck, so in fact they can have 3 decks of cargo. At this point I had the genius idea of trying to walk to the lift bridge before the Almosborg got there, so I'd get a good picture of her going under the bridge. Yeah, I only made it about halfway there by the time the ship caught up with me, so I figured I'd cut my losses and stop right here. Well, I finally have my breath back. Racing a ship to the lift bridge. That sucker just about clears. And down the bridge comes. Okay, we're one lock up, and as you can see, I've managed to chase this ship to the next lock. And these are flight locks, which means it's one lock into the next one, into the next one. And if we look up there, hopefully I'm pointing at it, because I can't see, there's another ship about to come down the other lock. So this was actually good timing for me to get here. I'm on the roof of the car. Hopefully nobody gets pissed off at me. This is Loch 4 we're at right now. As you can see, the gates are still open. And I'm using a different camera because the battery died on the other one. So right now, that battery is charging in the car. Or I should say that phone is charging in the car. As we look towards the next lock, you can see just how tall these doors are from the downstream side. Okay, these doors are closing, these lock gates are closing. So this ship is going to be going up. Wish I could remember the name of the ship. I'll flash it up on the screen. And now the Almosborg begins its lift in lock number 4. And as we pan over, we can no longer see the ship coming in the downbound side of the lock. As the Almosborg continues its lift, we can now see that the gates for the downbound lock have opened. The question is, will we be able to see the ship coming out of that lock before our view is blocked by the Almosborg? It would be nice to know what the identity of the downbound ship is. The Almosborg has now completed its lift in lock 4. And as we watch the gates to lock 5, they will start to open for its next step in the Welland Canal. The gates are now fully open, and the ship begins its movement from lock 4 into lock 5. Gates are open. The Dutch ship should start moving in a couple minutes. Okay, it can be difficult to gauge just when a ship starts moving at first, but by watching this light standard that's right in front, you can see details of the ship moving past. And you can see that it is actually starting to move at about a walking pace at this point. The Almosborg is actually starting to move at a fairly good clip by this point. You can see just how fast details are moving past that lamppost now. And as it goes past, we're finally going to see what is in the other side of the lock, the downboard side. And I don't see anything yet, so it hasn't started its descent yet. Let's see as the Almosborg clears. Okay, it is an Algoma Central ship. It's an Algoma Central ship coming down the downboard side. It is the Algoma Transport. The Almosberg is on its way up to Lake Erie. Maybe we can catch it as it exits the flight locks. The Algoma transport continues its entry into lock number 4. Now it seems to be moving much slower than the other ship. However, my assumption is that this ship is going to fill probably 95% of the lock. And given its huge size and how little space there is, I would imagine I'd be going pretty slow too. One ship going into a lock, the other one coming out. But I suppose technically they're both going from one lock to another. Something I didn't catch earlier is one lift bridge is up for the downward side, and as you can see, the other one is down. This lift bridge is in 2 different segments, this drawbridge, and it is a railway bridge. And here we can see the Algoma transport is still continuing to enter the lock, and certainly is taking its time. We can see that it's a self-unloader. And actually it's pretty much clear the upper lock because there's a little bit of overlap there. The Algoma transport is probably using reverse thrust by now, as it covers the last couple meters of the lock. And as you can see there, the lock extends a little bit into that heavy concrete area there. And the Algoma transport is a more modern laker in that all of its accommodation block and bridge is at the very stern. So the question is, do I keep on chasing the Dutch ship, or do I go back towards Lake Ontario and follow the Algoma transport? Well, it looks like the gates behind the Algoma are closing first because you can see the barriers coming down. And the barrier's still up for the Almosborg. Now they're putting the safety cable down on the upbound lock, and the lock doors are closing. As you can see, the other crane is coming up. It put the safety lock on the downward bound lock. Algoma transport has started going down. In a couple minutes we won't be able to see anything more than the superstructure, and the Almosborg is going to be getting quite a bit taller. You can see just how little is visible of the Algoma transport now. Almost the entire wheelhouse has disappeared. The Almosborg, how tall it's gotten. So the question is, can I get across the lift bridge get to McDonald's, get my order, get back across the lift bridge before the Algoma transport gets out of the lock and ties up the bridge? And if it does tie up the bridge, can I get to the top of the locks before the Almosborg exits? Yeah, this isn't looking good. I think the Algoma transport is going to beat me to the bridge. Oh, the traffic is not blocked, is not backed up yet. Looks like the counterweights are up. So either the Algoma has already gone, or it's just about to get there. We'll see. As you can see, the Algoma transport is just coming out of the loch now. And I beat it to the bridge, so I guess I'll mow down on my lunch while it goes by. The bridge is just starting to raise right now. See the counterweights coming down and the bridge going up. Alright, we're now looking at the last of the lochs here in Throld. There's another 2 or 3 closer up to Lake Erie, but this is about as far as we're going to chase our friend here. Okay, they've opened the valves and she's starting to go up. And the water level is almost equalized. Gates are going to be opening in just a couple minutes. Now we've got the gates opening. And she's under her way again. No idea how close you get to the ships here. You can see my rusty old caravan sitting here, just about 20 feet away from the ship. And we bid farewell to the Alamos Borg as it sails upstream to Lake Erie through the Welland Canal. If you watched part 1 of this video, you'll know that it left off just as we were watching the Federal Hudson go under the drawbridge on its way to Loch 3. We now pick that up again from the viewer center at Loch 3. Less than 10 minutes later, you can see the drawbridge behind him, and I've managed to get back to the visitor center ahead of him. Not that that was that hard to do. He's going to be entering the loch just a couple minutes as we try to see it through the mess of decorative fencing. I had to come down from the viewing platform because my battery died. As a matter of fact, my battery was so dead that even after being plugged into the car for 10 minutes and still being plugged into the car, I didn't have enough power left in it for the camera to do anything. So I leave you with this still shot. And thus ended my day of watching ships go through the Welland Canal. And I hope you enjoyed me sharing it. And until next time, just keep on modeling.